Yes, the needs to be not flush with the top.
Now, is that sturdy enough? Because this is down here, it's just like 3 or 4 nails in each one. Platform in. Alright, well, get this stuff out of this hosel.
Yeah, it saws all, including like pig parts.
Thank you.
Grandpa in Minnesota had one of those on the kitchen sink. I think they had a turn underneath the house.
There you go. Now you can show it pumping hard. There you go.
You need a cheater. Put a piece of pipe on that handle.
Works! Yay! Is it going to stop working? Or is it going to keep working? So we have it all hooked up and it wasn't working very well at all. Couldn't figure out why, and we thought maybe it had something to do with the release valve that we put in there for winter time, so we went ahead and put the Teflon tape on it, sealed it up, and reprimed it. Still wasn't working because when we took the fitting off, it went ahead and drained all this. So we knew that that wasn't the problem. So we went ahead, put Teflon tape, closed it up, reprimed it, and a little bit came out, and then it got harder and harder to use. Then Tim realized that we had created vacuum, and how are we supposed to do that? How are we supposed to fix that? So we were troubleshooting, trying to figure out what on earth that we can do, and then remembered that the outside pipe, that fitting, had 2 holes in it. So we went ahead and took off the larger piece down there. Tim took that one off, and you could hear the air sucking through it when he was starting to unscrew it. So we got that off, and now it works like it's supposed to. So when you're doing something like this, make sure you're not closing everything off, because you are going to be creating a vacuum seal. So it does work, and it's a lot easier to use than it was before. While it isn't the easiest thing to use versus, you know, turning a faucet on, at least we have some source of water right now, considering how dry it is. And there goes Valerie. So we have this, thank goodness. This is not going to be permanent. Tim and my dad went ahead and set this up. Tim's gonna put, what are you gonna put, like a deck or something?
Yeah,
there?
a deck there.
He's gonna build a deck, and we'll have a more permanent structure there. We were gonna do the concrete down there. We decided not to, because we had the gravel, so there's no point in adding the extra concrete down there. So we'll put a deck on there, and then when it comes winter, we'll insulate it and have it set. So we are ready to go. We do have some source of water, not the easiest thing in the world, but you know what, this is a lot easier than going into Frog Pond. I don't even know if there's water in there right now, because that was a week ago when I was in there last. So this will work for now. Good morning. So it's the next day, and we were kind of talking and thinking about this, and I know this is not glamorous, may not seem glamorous, but when you have no water here and things are drying up, you really do what you have to do. When we do get electric out here, when we get the panels coming up, set up, then we've talked about getting an electric pump, something set up here. We'll still have this on here, but last night the girls came back, don't know what they were doing, but they were covered head to toe in mud, and they were ready to come straight in the camper. And We were like, go to the pump. What pump? So they remembered, oh yeah, we put a pump in. And they came out here, had a bar of soap. They took turns pumping it and washed themselves off. And it worked really great. They didn't have to try to find some water. They didn't have to haul themselves into the camper and use the very limited, because we have to haul that water from in town to have anything for cooking and for showers and stuff. So it was really nice to be able to do that. And with hauling water as far as gardening goes, you know, there's things I do have to water daily, but the main part doesn't have to be done every day. The trees that are in the orchard, those don't have to be done every day. So, you know, we'll come out here and get a good arm workout, fill up a bucket, set aside. Fill a bucket, set up aside. We don't have to do it all in once. So this is going to work just fine for now, and we'll get there. We'll get to the next steps. So that was the main thing with doing this and getting it set up and getting water out here until we get to the next step. So this isn't the end-all be-all, but is a step in the right direction for our goals and what we want to do. Got anything you want to add?
We're talking this morning about raising the pipe up. So when I had it cambered, it was, we say 40 feet, but it was actually more like 42.
Yeah.
And we've got 40 foot of pipe in the ground, meaning that our foot valve is like two feet off the bottom, roughly.
Yeah.
And we know that we stirred it up a lot, and there's a lot of sediment probably floating in there right now. But we talked about raising it up a little bit. So maybe when I build the deck area, I'll pull it up at least a foot or so, and see what that does, just to kind of get out of the muck a little bit. But this will be here for probably a good, I don't know, I'm going to get to that project.
I am.
So,
yeah.
So we'll see if it clears out or not.
Yeah.
We're also talking this morning about our old foundation over here. The girls did they see it online? Something about doing like a winter garden, and it's buried in the ground. So we have this door on the back side for the camper. The dog's chasing something. So I can pull the camper all the way through when we get to that point, and I have a spot in there to drain it and everything. Well, it comes right over this side of the old foundation, but about half of this could be saved. So we're thinking about making this a winter garden area now, cleaning this up and then keeping it in the ground, building a dome over it. And then having water right here would be good for that too. We thought about some other water options as well.
Because these are the old cellar stairs are here. So there's still stairs. The sidewalk, which you could kind of see, the sidewalk is already here. So we'd have a walkway to whatever we decide. I don't know how far it goes that way. Maybe
I don't think it goes that way.
Maybe it just stops there. But it goes down this way. So we have steps down to it already. We'd obviously need to do a little bit of work on the walls, but it's not going to be something we're living in. So it'd be really neat and really not rustic to have something like that down there and put a greenhouse top or something on it. So you have lettuces, or even just to go down there.
Trying to get the doggies.
Trying to get a fly. Go
They've
down
been
there.
enjoying chasing the flies lately.
And in the wintertime, you know, if we're wanting to be outside but not freezing, you know, we can go down there and.
Well, we can start our tomatoes and everything in January.
Yeah.
Down there.
Yeah. So that'd be good too, and then transplant them to where the gardens are going to go.
Yep. So another project we added to the list.
I know.
And then we were talking about our rainwater collection.
Here's the thing. When you take on something like this, we are going to have projects forever. And that may seem daunting, but really it's a lifestyle that you want to get into, you want to change into. For us, it's very fulfilling for us to do that. So we'll get the big projects done, but the thing about a lot of things, even if we don't get to this tomorrow or next month or next year, it's okay. It'll sit there and we'll get to it. And there's other things. So that's what's nice about this is we have the immediate stuff that we do need to get done, but a lot of other things that can wait. They can wait.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the nice thing about this.
All right. Yeah. On the day, it's getting hot already.
It is. I need to go pull weeds.
So I came out, I've been watering the gardens, and now I already had 2 buckets set up out here. Went to go pump some more, and it was not working. So what I do is, when I pulled the handle down, there was definitely pressure on it, but it wouldn't release, which would tell me that the valve in the bottom, the foot valve, would let, see, what would it be? It'd be stuck shut. so that when you pump the water up, nothing was really coming in. You could feel the pressure in the handle, and I thought, oh great, I got to pull this all up and get the foot valve out. So I came with a plan. I was going to cut this straight out so I can get the pipe out. Had the skid steer at the forks, so as I raised the pipe out, it could rest in between there and hopefully wouldn't snap as I go up. I'll take off about, I don't know, 12 feet of our 40-foot pipe. But I took this out, took the pitcher pump off, and there's water in here, which would defeat what I was thinking was happening. Looked underneath, and that appears to have broken or come off. So this piece should be moving, and it is not. It has come detached somehow. So brand new pump. So luckily these are repairable. So I'm going to take these bolts off, disassemble it, see if I can figure out what broke and get it running again. But so far this well has been quite a challenge. Got the bolts off here, and on further inspection, I couldn't lift this up before, this valve, so I don't know what happened, but this would not push, it would not lift up. I don't quite know how that would get off, but I'm hoping that's all it was, that this wasn't able to lift up, so the seal was, one-way valve wasn't working. Everything else seems to be okay, so I'm going to put it back together and check it out. So if I put this on here now and just test it, push from the bottom, it's opening and closing fine. So hopefully that was all the issue was. So I put it back together and it's still not working. You can hear it trying to work. I just think that when it's tightened down, this isn't able to open. So this is basically acting as my foot valve. It's going to be keeping the water in there, which of course you can see I already have water there because there's a foot valve way at the bottom. So I'm actually going to take this weight off and then see if that will affect it at all. That still didn't work. When I go down, when I pull up, it should suck water up into the reservoir here. And then when I push down, the one-way valve in there should there's two one-way valves, it should let water in. When I pull up, it closes, and then it brings water to the surface. And it is not doing that. So I'm going to try priming it, but I shouldn't need to. The water level's right here. Priming it didn't work either. Sure, I didn't know. Trial and error. Well, I'm back to thinking the foot valve stuck again, because water line, you can see the flap is open. And if I just take the plunger part of this, water level doesn't come up at all, which tells me it's not able to suck any water from down below, which tells me that there's something wrong with the foot valve, or our pipe is clogged. I'm guessing the foot valve is stuck, which sucks. So our vent is open. I don't know why the foot valve would be stuck, but it's going to really suck pulling this whole thing out. But I need water, so I guess that's what I'm doing today. I'm ready to go ahead and pull it out. I'm wondering if we didn't go too deep. Because it was a 42-foot well. We went down, 40 feet plus the cap. And when all the beating and banging going on, I wonder if we just went too deep and we're sitting in mud. We're sitting in muck and it's clogged it up. So I'm going to try and go ahead and pull this up. It's going to be way up in there and full of water. So I really don't know how this is going to work, because it's going to be really heavy, and I hope the pipe doesn't break. But I can't think of any other reason why I'd be doing this. Okay, I got the foot valve out. I haven't looked at it yet. But the pipe, ridiculously heavy. Once it got over the top, luckily it started bending over and didn't break. So I'm glad that didn't break. But as it reached the peak and rolled over, a lot of the water came out, which lightened the load a little bit. So anyways, now I'm going to take the foot valve off here and see if there's a problem in it. Okay, new theory. The valve works, sprayed myself. I pushed it open, but it was working fine, but there was obviously a lot of pressure on it. So we are down 40 feet, and I would guess that that valve is not rated for 40 feet. And there is simply too much water pressure on it, and that's causing it to not be able to open. So I just took the screen off, pretty simple to do, and then the valve itself is just right there, and I can grab it and spray myself again. There's a lot of pressure on it. So that's all I can think of, is that there's too much pressure on it. I don't know if I can adjust this or if I just need to lower the, make it not so deep. Not sure. I'll have to play with this for a little bit, but I'm pretty sure this is our problem. There's just too much pressure, and when that valve hits, it can't. I mean, I'm going to push pretty hard to get that to open up, and I'm only half full of water. So I kind of wonder if that's only good for, you know, maybe 25 feet, and we're down 40. So it's a good possibility that's what our issue is. So, well, I got some water in here though. I'm gonna get my buckets over here and get whatever water out of them I can, and that'll lighten the load on the pipe as well. So I'm quite confused on this whole valve thing, because I looked it up and it says it has a 200 psi rating. Now, if the foot valve is sitting in 30 feet of water, let's just say, and I have 10 feet in the pipe that's above that water level. Now, to me, the 30 feet would be equalized. There wouldn't be any additional pressure on it because it's sitting in the water. There's no, I mean, there would be pressure on it, but not 30 feet of pressure on it. There would only be 10 feet of pressure on it, which is nowhere near, you know, 200 psi. Even if it was 40 feet of water in there, or 40 feet of water in the tube, it still should be 200 psi. That's a lot. So I'm confused, and I'm going back to thinking that maybe it's the pitcher pump itself that's having an issue. But that all seems to be working properly as well. It's just weird. So either the foot valve was just stuck, which is possible. You know, when I pulled it out of the ground and I released the valve, I had to push really hard. But at that point, it's way up in the air, and there's probably 20 feet of pressure on it, so it's going to have some resistance. So I guess my options are to go ahead and cut it down to like 25 feet, 25 feet. Just see what that does. Because I don't think that's still going to be plenty of water for pumping out to do what we're doing with it. I could take the foot valve off. You know, it'll suck muck up, but I'd be curious to see if that's because the pitcher pump itself has a valve in it that would keep the water from going back down. That's why I thought it was stuck the first time, which it was stuck. That would, I don't know. If the foot valve wasn't on there, it'd be a lot easier to pull out of the ground too, because all the water would just flow right out the bottom. So I'm going to try all those things. I'm going to take the foot valve off, put it back in the ground, see what happens. I'm going to go ahead and buy the pieces to shorten the pipe, because what's probably going to happen is I'm going to take the foot valve off and it'll work fine, just like I did when the foot valve was on. And I come back tomorrow to water the garden, and it's probably not going to do anything. If it's stuck again, then that's, you know, then there's clearly something inside the pitcher pump at that point. So I'll do that. I'm going to go buy my parts just so I'm already halfway there, more than halfway there. So I can take the foot valve off, try it, and then I'll have the parts available for tomorrow, to where if something is messed up I can go ahead and knock it down to maybe a 20-foot pipe or so and then try it that way. I'm still confused on why it wouldn't suck anything up. The pitcher pump only has a 25-foot depth, but again, there shouldn't be any pressure on the pipe. It should be 25 feet lift. So I'm lifting it 25 feet above the water level, and I'm only lifting it 10 feet. Anyways, I'm confused. So we're just going to start trying stuff until I can figure it out. So I got back with my parts and decided to look down the well. And before you could look down, you could see the water there. You can no longer see it. In fact, I'll take a little rock, see if you can hear this. It is way down there. So, like I said, the pitcher pump is only viable for pumping up 25 feet, and I would assume that we pretty much drained this down close to halfway, and that's why it was not being able to pump. So that's a problem, because we were hoping this would be a good well, but clearly it is not. So the parts I bought are basically not good for anything right now. So the pitcher pump's probably fine, everything was probably fine, it's just that the water is too far down there. I don't know, that was unexpected. So I'm going to try and get water from the other well real quick. I went ahead and bought another little pump. What I was going to do was the valve on the drain hose on the bottom that we had set up, I was going to tap into that with the pump and then put a cap on top of this so it wouldn't suck air, and then be able to suck up water that way from it, which I suppose is still an option, but the water is way down there now. So yeah, but now I'm going to take that back to the 8-inch well that's 80 feet deep, see if I can get it working on that one so I get some water to water our plants today. There are some storms popping up. There's one over there, one behind those trees. These are typical summertime pop-up storms where we get heating of the day and then storm clouds pop up in the afternoon and it just dumps on you and then it quits a little while later. So these storms, they don't really move, they just pop up and dump on you and then leave. So that's kind of good, except the fact that they usually don't last very long, and then everything's wet and the sun comes back out and then you instantly get muggy. So in 1993, when all the floods happened, those pop-up storms were consistent. Every day they would pop up and just drench an area and then be gone, and pop up somewhere else and drench an area. So supposed to have storms on and off later this week, but this is what we got today. There's nothing really around me that's too concerning. Some small clouds, but those can turn into something bigger at any time. So anyways, this wasn't really what I was planning on doing today. I got some more of the zip taping up. I'm going to put a stiff back through the garage underneath the floor, just try and take a little bit of the bounce out. It's not bad, but I might as well do it now while I have everything, and then come out here tomorrow and start building some walls right away. So we've tried several different pumps. I went and bought this little battery operated Ryobi one a little bit ago, and it's working fine. I think it's about to the capacity of its lift though. But all the other pumps, plug-in ones, the higher priced ones, didn't do anything. This one, doing what it's supposed to do. So the other well is basically going dry on us. I'm going to drain this one down as much as I can. I'm going to watch it and see how much it fills back up by tomorrow. And hopefully this one will be viable enough for us to use.